Well, our next guest is one of the 1980s corporate raiders who served, at least one of them, as a model for Gordon Gekko's character in Wall Street. Assure Edelman is a longtime art collector and investor who now heads up Art Assure Ltd. Assure, we're so glad to have you with us here in the newsroom. With Wall Street 2 coming out, and we know Oliver Stone followed you, shadowed you a little bit back in the 80s before the first Wall Street film, as did Michael Douglas. Does this bring up any memories for you of your past life?
No.
Not at all?
No.
Are you going to see the movie?
Sure.
All right. And were you flattered at all or interested when they were shadowing you back in the 80s? Or you didn't mind
I don't
either
think
way?
That's what happened.
Okay.
Michael's an old friend. He spent some time in the office.
Okay. And was intrigued by the way that you had developed such this keen interest in art and wanted to incorporate that in Gordon Gekko's character?
Don't know.
You don't know about that. All right. Well, we're going to see it. We're going to think of you, Assure. But now you are running this business that many people want to know, Art Assure. Has it changed at all because of the recession?
I mean, Art Assure really has grown because of the recession, because it provides liquidity to a marketplace that otherwise is not liquid.
And how are you different than Sotheby's or Christie's for those who don't know?
Sotheby's and Christie's you should think of as more an exchange, like a stock exchange, and you should think of us more as an investment banking operation.
So are you providing liquidity, for lack of a better term, to perhaps some people who have collections to unload, who maybe just need some help in doing so?
I think that's a very good term. Yes, we are. We provide everything from non-recourse lending to guarantees at auction, to placement at auction, et cetera.
And how do you decide which collections to take on? Because you are assuming a certain amount of risk.
Well, it's a combination of two things. It's one, trying to compute the level of the estimates at auction to see if they're correct in terms of guarantees, and two, modeling, as an insurance company would, the likelihood of successful or profitable transactions and the risk of loss in the transactions, and then offering what we think is a fair price to the person needing or wanting a guarantee.
Now, one thing that I noticed about your business model, and something that you've said is a goal, is that you are willing to take on smaller and mid-size priced objects, whereas Sotheby's and Christie's have the reputation for wanting to go big, because obviously the higher the price, the bigger the cut that they're able to take. What makes you more interested in the middle ground as well?
Well, first, I don't work on the commissions. They work on the commissions. And secondly, a diversified portfolio of art is better to lend against or to guarantee than one big piece. And thirdly, Sotheby's and Christie's have done, and to some extent still do, guarantees for the purpose of bringing paintings or works of art that they want to the auctions. In my case, it's a business, and we act as, again, in a certain way as an insurance company would. So we do it in order to eke out a small profit.
And Assure, I mean, you highlighted the fact that it's a business. How does what you are doing now compare to your experience that you had as a quote-unquote corporate raider back in the 80s?
My main business on Wall Street was not a corporate raider. We were in a hedging business, and mostly, and from 1969 to 1974, along with Harry Markowitz, we developed a series of, you might almost say, insurance-type transactions for options and convertible bonds, and this very much relates to that.
And about the buzz maybe that you would get, or the interest level, are you as engaged in Art Assure as you were back then?
More so.
It demands more attention to detail. It demands a little bit more of attention to a subjective quality.
Well, I mean, certainly it demands more attention to subjective quality, because you really have to figure out, aside from the statistical side, whether or not the works are potentially properly priced at auction. Whereas in a totally liquid marketplace, that is to say, both the option and the stock, the market itself tells you that answer at all times. So there is another aspect to it that's slightly different.
Assure, thanks so much for coming in, talking to us about Art Assure. That is Assure Edelman of Art Assure.